All right, producer Connor is here. Niners Falcons coming up on Sunday, which means that you got to go to Levi Stadium and get your puesto. But some of the ESPN reporters did some breaking down of the market. Are the Niners now totally out of any trade market? And this is from today. Dan Graziano and what's his name? Fowler. Jeremy Fowler. Niners are banged up. Could they be active in the trade market? Let's rattle through a few of these. Fowler says, yes, they've been scanning the trade market for pass rush options. Niners are consider Trey Hendrickson an ideal fit for their defense if the Bengals would part with them for reasonable compensation. I think this will be a reoccurring theme here. What is reasonable compensation for the Niners? Graziano, I've been told the same thing about Hendrickson. Bengals don't intend to trade him. Like, of course they intend to trade him. They have to trade him. But they don't intend to get fleeced, and they've got some time here. Fowler says other options I suspect the Niners will check in on: Rashawn Gary, Packers; Jalen Phillips, Dolphins; Bradley Chubb, Dolphins; Jermaine Johnson, Jets; Will McDonald, Jets; Arden Key, Titans. Also, what's his name? The former Raiders top pick, Cleveland Ferrell, just got cut. So, he's a former 49er. Graziano says they won't be able to find a one-for-one replacement for Warner or Bosa. Agree. But if the Jets are dealing players, as most people think they would, linebacker Quincy Williams is in the last year of his deal, could be a fit. And then Fowler mentions Houston linebacker Christian Harris, multi-year starter, plays for D'Amico, extension of the Niners principles. I think so basically what they're saying is, and he adds, it doesn't have to be defense for the Niners. So the Niners could go another direction. But I think that the basic sentiment, Connor, is don't assume the Niners are going to do nothing. And I think it goes back to like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, historically very aggressive. Now it's about selective aggressiveness. It's not about aggression so much as we'll do stuff to upgrade the team, but not to injure next year. Right. And I think part of it is like I want your take on this, but I do want to add too, like I do think there are a few potential silver linings to the year. First of all, still, if you make the playoffs at this point, good year. There are some teams worth giving up on. Let's pack it in and start worrying about the draft pick. This is not one of those teams because it's so young. Because it's so young, there's a value in learning how to win games difficult. There's a value in these guys playing in close games. There's a value in playing a playoff game. So that's the first thing. And I think the second thing to me that's silver lining is Fred Warner leaves a massive void, not just on your defense, but from a leadership standpoint. I hope Brock Purdy plays against Atlanta this week because not only is it a big game, if everything's gone wrong, you win the game. You're 5-2, pretty good. And now we watched Atlanta on Monday night. Connor was just back from Boise. Heavy, little sleep, alcohol, BAC high, sleep low. Watch Monday Night Football before he passed out all of Tuesday.
Yep.
So good to have you back. But it's a prime time. We all saw what the Falcons looked like. They looked good. It's a primetime game. I think there is an opportunity here for Brock Purdy to really take the reins of this team. He's already been a leader, but to me, like now when kind of all the bets are off on this 49ers team and you can kind of be the underdog again, and the guy that gets paid all this money is never the underdog. But I think there's an opportunity here for Purdy to step up, claim like primary leadership of this team and go find ways to win games. Like when this year started and you thought everyone's going to be healthy and can you play your way into a Super Bowl contender, you weren't getting a lot of credit for like finding a way to beat the Falcons or finding a way to beat the Cardinals. Well, now, like this is the type of year where it's like, no, you find ways with MVS and Kendrick Bourne and McCaffrey at 3.1 yards per carry. So, Connor, I'm not trying to be like too fired up, but I am kind of fired up about, I don't think they're going to fully give up on this season, and I don't think they should. And I think there's an opportunity here.
I think if you look back at the season, like how good of an opportunity the Niners have to then win with offense. The first 4 games was great defense. They keep losing defensive guys. Now on offense, they get their offensive players back. They get Kittle back. They get Pearsall back. Maybe Ayuk down the road. Then it could be a team winning with offense. And it could just be that sort of season. You just don't know what you're going to get. But then it's like Purdy took over. He is the guy. He developed with Ricky Pearsall. Ricky's the number one. So they do have an opportunity. But, that being said, like I hope Purdy doesn't force the ball, because that was what was getting him in trouble in 2024, early this year. So he has to kind of temper it and then trust what's in front of him. If he can get Kittle back this week, which Kittle maybe should play, he's got to just, take the easy completion and not force the ball down the field. But, you also mentioned it earlier, the 49ers 14 days ago now, almost, just beat the Rams. They were feeling good. That Sunday, all of their opponents seem to have lost this year or this week. That's just completely flipped. So it's a week in, week out. If the 49ers go and they beat the Falcons by 10 points at home somehow with 30 points, like next week's going to be phenomenal. So
beat them by 1.
Beat them by, just win.
Yeah, just win, baby. I don't think anyone's ever said that before. So I'll claim that as the Niners' new slogan. Just win, baby. But to your point, you're right. Like, it is about 2017 is not the example of anything. But I think what was interesting about 2017 is they added Garoppolo at the end of the year. They won some games. It wasn't a banner year, but somehow they managed to hit the offseason with momentum. And to me, like, if you win some games down the stretch and Brock plays well, and it does have to be that. Like, by the way, if the game's 34-31, you actually can't afford to, like, force the ball and make a mistake, because you're going to get it again. It's not kind of those slow possession Niner games. I'm not saying you want to do that. That ultimately might get you beat, but especially since the Niners are now 13 straight games without a pick, and Fred Warner's the guy that creates all the fumbles. Are you going to get any takeaways? I have a feeling they're going to pick off Michael Penix like twice this week. The dam will break. Penix is worst isn't the right word, because I actually think Michael's good. I think he's a good player. I'm a Michael Penix fan. But when you look at all the numbers, completion percentage, yardage, touchdowns, interceptions, time to throw, like all that stuff, he is at or near the bottom of the group of quarterbacks they've played so far this year, right? When you just look at it, Rattler and Stafford and Trevor Lawrence and Darnold and Kyler Murray, like, Penix is at the bottom. They're giving it to Bijan, who is 9 yards a carry and 10 yards per catch on Monday night. The backup, how do you say it? I got to learn this by Sunday. Algier,
yeah. I think
runs I think he was like 3 yards a carry that day, but he runs hard, just like he did at BYU. Drake London had 10 catches. I mean, so yeah, you got to go score. And I think it's a great addition to the point on Purdy by you. Is like, you're just going to have to go score more points, which clearly Shanahan's already kind of dialed up for that. And maybe that type of game opens things up for Christian a little bit. I don't know. I did another video. If you're listening to the podcast, you already heard me talk about, like, I think we're going to look back, especially if you get Kittle and then later Ayuk back, and the efficiency numbers come up a little bit for Christian. If he's healthy this year, just carrying the load as much as he's carrying it, I think it's a special year. So, maybe Jennings gets a few touches.
Jennings, Shanahan, a little drama. Kittle being back, we've talked about this, but the 49ers just rushing attack gets so much better, and everything just opens up with Kittle seemingly. For all the losses on defense, their offense is still fairly intact. I know we're sitting here talking about if Brock Purdy's going to play, but let's just say they come back and start, producing. This could look, this offense could look dynamic again. And against the Rams, like, you saw Shanahan, how good he schemed up, Kendrick Bourne for 10 catches and 100 plus yards. So you just got to have this offense start to build momentum. Now you look at it though, the Texans, so they play the Falcons, and then the Texans, who have the 4th best total defense, the Giants on the road, 28th best defense, and then back at home against the Rams, top 10 defense. So it's like this easy schedule, quote unquote. These teams are starting to develop, and there's each storyline for each different team. It's not going to be a walk in the park.
You've been hearing me talk about DraftKings Sportsbook. I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook. If you haven't jumped in on the fun, this is the week. There's a huge Monday night game. You know about this. San Francisco is favored against Atlanta. It's the game we're all watching. So why don't you make it a little more fun? And if you haven't tried it yet, promo GUY 2025. And here's what happens. New customers, when you bet $5, you get $200 instantly in bonus bets if your bet wins. You bet $5, $200 if your bet wins, paid instantly in bonus bets. Every game's already a roller coaster. All of these games every Sunday are so close. And if you think it can't get better than that, you can't take it up another level. Yes, you can. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. Because you watch that first quarter, you watch the first half, you start to get a sense for what's going on, and then you can make an educated bet in the second half. New customers turn $5 into $200 if your bet wins, paid instantly in bonus bets. Sign up using the promo code GUY2025. The crown is yours. Giants aren't good necessarily, but they beat Philly.
But they have a lot of momentum.
Yeah,
too,
and you got to
right?
go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last 2 years when Kittle is off the field, it's 1.5 yards per carry lower, according to Jeff Deeney at PFF.
That's remarkable.
Isn't that crazy?
That's remarkable.
So, I just think I think there is reason to add. I'm kind of interested to see Tatum Bethune this week for all the Nick Martin. Remember, I said this coming the year about D Winters. Like everyone's ignoring D Winters. And I think D's played well. But now, now everybody's mistakes kind of get highlighted a little bit more without Fred Warner. If Fred Warner's on the field, does Baker Mayfield break off that crazy? I feel, I bet every fan base feels this way. But I feel like once a year the Niners give up some back-breaking Kyler, Caleb, Baker, just some you get him here, the game, you might win this game. And they're like, oh my God, how did he get out of that?
Yeah.
So
instead of 2021 when Debo was doing that on wide receiver screens, it'd be like 3rd and 18. He gets 19.
I'm glad you mentioned Debo because I thought I was listening to Matt Barrows and Kawakami. They're a go-to listen for sure. The 49ers Plus Minus, which is now on YouTube. You can go subscribe to their YouTube channel. And I thought they made a great point. And I don't know if this has been brought up in the run game stuff, but Jennings, Ayuk, and Debo, if as wide receivers, that's like a Pro Bowl blockers. And they have totally lost that level. There was so much Bourne doesn't block like that. Kendrick, MVS, it's just those guys are as good as it gets. And when you start losing pieces and you have to start plugging on you sacrifice stuff. You don't get to just hand pick your replacements too. We're this type of aggression, this type of run blocking, that all of that stuff. And you see it, to me, you see it on some of the tossed plays. Some of these Christian toss plays, how did he just get? Because I thought for sure we'd look in 8-man boxes because that's how it feels on the penetration. It feels like, oh, there's more guys in the box. Totally. Wait, there's less. Some of these, there was the toss play against the Rams where he, you never see guys blown up on toss plays. So I do think that's probably part of this as well for them in the run game. And
that's a good point. I mean, that's the exact point we're making about George Kittle, right? 1.5 yards per carry. But I mean, these receivers even, they block they block so hard. Jennings was he blocked the Packers Packers cornerback into the sideline during the NFC Championship game. So that is a underlying theme about that. And then the offensive line. The offensive line at some point is going to have to be addressed or just going to roll it out over and over. And Trent Williams, this is probably an offseason finally to address Trent Williams. What do you say?
What does that mean? I mean, he's under contract and he's getting paid. So,
I mean, it's time to pick up a long-term maybe replacement.
Yeah, yes, I would love that. But I think they are so... They're not picking somebody up just for the sake of it. They have to like them. They're not going to, this is year they draft a guy in the first round. Well, maybe if they like him. So what do you think about just let's go back to the original. And by the way, we're recording this Wednesday midday. Is Brock going to play? I don't know. I don't know. But what do you think? I kind of talked through this. What'd you make of the Fowler, Graziano? I think the thing to remember is they can be interested in making a move, but they're not going to make a move just for the sake of it. And also, they're going to get to see this week. How does Tatum Bethune play? What do we need? Do we lose 2 games? And we're all right, we're not making a Hendrickson trade. So they're all. Yeah. But what was your take on that, on those reports?
I mean, I thought the Quincy Williams aspect was the most intriguing, and I think the Jets overall. The Jets are sort of a dumpster fire, and it's a new coaching, it's a new regime, right? So I think they would be more likely to sell for cheaper, given where they are. For whatever reason, the Bengals are trying to hold on. They went and got Flacco, so they're trying to hold on. So maybe hope that Burrow can return, which I just don't see it. But I thought Quincy Williams, he's played with Robert Saleh before. Saleh knows these players from last season with the Jets. So I think Quincy Williams could be very good. As let's say, Nick Martin or Tatum Bethune don't really pan out immediately. Like, go get someone who Robert Saleh knows so well. I think be more of that.
It feels like Nick Martin's not part of this puzzle right now, right?
Yeah.
Did you see who somebody reported that the Browns traded Flacco to the Bengals just to screw with the Steelers? Did you see that?
Oh no, I didn't see that, but
just like it was a spite trade.
Just to go try to beat them. Yeah, I love that.
The other thing Kawakami brought up, and we're a little ahead of the game here, but I hadn't thought about it. It was interesting. Like, what if Brock comes back healthy this week or in a couple of weeks, whatever, and you could get something for Mac Jones?
I mean,
that's interesting.
I don't think you can do that, though, given what you've seen out of Brock Purdy's health. I don't think you can do that, and then how valuable Mac Jones is. But
how cheap? Yeah.
At what price? I mean, what price are you getting for Mac? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you trading a player?
I think it has to be such an it's got, to me, I don't even know if a third rounder is enough, as crazy as that sounds, because I'm thinking about him. Okay, you go into 26 and your team's better. Well, you might need him in 26.
Right. For a really good contract.
Let's make sure Brock can play 2 straight games this year.
Okay, would you go, let's just hypothetically, would you go Trey Hendrickson, Mac Jones?
I don't think I would, because Mac Jones is on the team next year.
Right.
He's a quarterback, and he's good.
Crazy that we're talking about this right now. But
would you do that deal?
I don't think so either. I don't think you can, given how valuable Mac Jones is.
He's your starting quarterback right now. Let's be clear. He's like Brock. We're talking about like, what if Brock? When does Brock? But he's not. Mac Jones is your starting quarterback right now. So.
It is alarming because on paper it's Mac Jones and it's Trey Hendrickson, and you hear those names. But no, given the status of this 49ers team and how injured they are, the other thing that is so tough is, knock on wood, I actually don't want to say it, but Christian McCaffrey's been so healthy this year, and it's just like you can't even time it up again. So, okay. Back to you, Guy. On defense, middle linebacker address or address the defensive line if the Niners were going to make a move?
To me, it's just the best guy. Like you solve both problems. I mean, the good news is they're both holes. So, if you go to a shoe store and you're like, I only have enough money for one pair of shoes. I need running shoes and dress shoes. I need them both, but I'm only going to buy one, and they have both on sale. You just buy the cheaper one. Buy the better fit. So, I think we'll see what the step down is, but you've already kind of done you've already lived without Bosa.
Right.
I also think it's like, how much do you believe that the development for whoever is on the field matters? Like, do you think Tatum Bethune can be a starting linebacker for you? If so, then okay, then growing pains, like kind of Marquise Siegel clearly right now, like, growing pain. Well, we are going to live with growing pains because this is going to pay off in the future. So I think that's part of it. Either or both.
Yeah. I think middle linebacker, like you said, you saw the Niners were able to scratch and claw out victories without Nick Bosa, and Fred Warner held that team together on defense. So I think addressing middle linebacker, and if it's someone Saleh knows, and it can be, a marginal difference, D Winters can then go fly around at the, weak side. So I don't know. I think that would be more important to address.
There's something to be said for having someone who's not learning on the job at that spot, specifically that spot.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. I can't believe the Niners are favored. After watching the Falcons Monday night, I'm like, this team is good.
Yeah.
These guys are tough. I do think 0 might be the best number for like a badass linebacker now that you're allowed to do it. Divine DeVolo, what's his name? I'll learn that one by Sunday too. I just watched 0. When you grind the tape, you just call guys by numbers.
Grind the tape. Yeah. I think Bijan is going to have, oh boy, Bijan versus a couple new linebackers is going to be
not
tough matchup.
great. But if you can get after Penix before he gets the ball out.
I think if this team can be competitive and you have Michael developing, got a sack.
Divine Diablo. I still have his Raider jersey around here somewhere.
But if you also get these rookies and younger players in pressure pack situations, that's also a good outcome for the season and performing. Like if there's so win with offense, I think is the new mindset flip.
All right, the Niners are wearing the throwback reds on Sunday. Fired up about that.
Find out their record from that.
Okay. Who'd they wear the throwbacks against this year? The Cardinals won the game against the Cardinals in the white throwbacks. So players love those uniforms. So do I. All right. Later.